School made me hate learning. Self-education brought it back to life. Self-education is the courage to explore your own interests and curiosities. You should feel privileged right now because if I said that 100 years ago, I would have been laughed at. I don't believe most people are yet aware of the opportunities that we have today. Or maybe we just haven't caught up with the entire world yet. 84% of businesses in the US don't have any employees. That's 30 million people running a one-person business, and 77% of them are profitable within the first year. For the first time in history, you can turn your interests, expertise, curiosities, and personality into a business. You can quite literally live a life that serves you by productizing yourself without changing anything about you. While every entity outside of you is trying to make you into someone you don't want to be, this business model is quite literally the opposite. It's a God-given opportunity, the opposite of what you know about business. And I know most people have a shit view of business. I did too, but by the end of this video, you will have a changed view of business. At least I hope so. Because the biggest obstacle standing between you and a one-person business is not AI. It's what you have been told a business should look like. So quick overview, in this video we will go over what exactly the one-person business model is, your 7-day business plan, which includes picking your niche, setting up your offer, getting your first very sale, and how to scale this business without losing your soul. Now, think about what you want to build and why you want to build it. I'm going to be quite vulnerable and admit that I initially failed at this social media game. If you search me up on, for example, TikTok or Instagram, you will see how 6 years ago, my entire goal with social media was virality. I grew an audience, but I didn't build anything. Then I tried multiple ways to monetize that audience through merch and other things, which did create cash flow, but ultimately the foundation was weak. A lot of people skip the most important part. They skip what they actually want to build and jump straight into things like tactics. You can see this with a lot of creators online. 6 months later, they've burned out or quit entirely. Now, I want you to keep an open mind while watching this video because the one-person business is probably very different to what you've been taught about business in the traditional sense. The industrial age playbook was simple. Learn skills, get hired, get paid. The digital age playbook is different. Turn your ideas into a personal brand, attach it to a scalable digital business. The internet has distribution. You can now reach millions of people without a physical store, investors, or 50 employees. You have the same tools that Fortune 500 companies use. You're not building a startup, you're building a system, and you don't need a team to build something real. You don't need a big budget to get started or a new groundbreaking idea. You don't even need a big audience to make money. That was my belief. I thought I needed 1 million followers. You just need an offer that solves a painful problem for a very specific type of person. The offer doesn't need to be something completely new. You just need to make something work better. As Kevin Kelly said, you need 1,000 true fans. That's 1,000 people who genuinely trust you. There's never been a better time. The infrastructure to do the work that you love is here. The attention, that is the audience, is online. There is low to no barriers for you to start. We can go over and over about how effective this model is, but we don't even have to do that because the internet itself is evidence of that. If you look at the patterns, this model has produced real results for real people. Those who have started with nothing but a skill and an internet connection. History is not unique. History repeats itself. Take what you know, your expertise, package it, and offer, and sell it via value to those who need it. Digital products are what works today. That might be completely different in 2 to 3 years' time. But you see, the form which you provide, the value might change, but the concept will remain the same. Sell what you know. We'll touch more on all of this later, but digital products work because of how simple and repeatable they are. It's basically a business where you are the product, marketing and delivery all wrapped into one. It works and will continue to work because it's all about selling your expertise, perspective, or skill in a way that doesn't require employees or inventory. The three moving parts of the model is the skill or knowledge that you bring to the table, problem that the skill or knowledge solves for other people, and the distribution channel that is social media that connects you to those people. Skill plus problem plus channel equals a real business. It always has been that way. Let's start with skill. I want you to think about what you are good at. What do you have extreme knowledge of? If you haven't lived under a rock for the past however many years, you should have something that you're good at, or at least something that you're knowledgeable in. Is it fitness, design, productivity, relationship advice, spirituality, personal finance? Anything where you are a few steps ahead of someone else in that field. To start a business, you don't need to be an expert. You just need to know more than the person you're helping. The skill or knowledge has to solve something real because people pay for outcomes, transformation, and shortcuts to the results that they want. If your skill doesn't connect to a genuine pain point or desire, then you don't have a business. You have a hobby. The distribution channel is how people find you. Social media is the distribution channel because this is how people can find you at scale. It can be YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, an online newsletter. It doesn't matter what it is. What matters is choosing one and sticking with it. To succeed, you don't have to be everywhere. You need to be consistent somewhere. The purpose of the distribution channel is to turn strangers into an audience. I like this business model because it strips away everything that is unnecessary. No business plan, funding, or permission from anyone. And I'm personally a big fan of that last one because I hate chasing people. So what you need is a skill, a problem, and a way to reach people. Earn with your mind, not with your time. Naval Ravikant. Don't trade hours for dollars. Instead, build assets that compound over time. I know I'm on my fourth YouTube video, but really think about it. Every piece of content that I publish stays public forever. It's like a tiny salesperson that works for you 24/7. A YouTube video that I post today is still going to work for me 2 years later. That is mental. YouTube isn't the main point here. A blog on your website can be shared and resurfaced years later. Creators who have been consistent for multiple years have the biggest unfair advantage for that main reason. They've stacked more assets over time. They've stuck with the boring work for a longer period of time. Let's do the maths. If you publish one long-form YouTube video a week, after a year, you have 48 salespeople or assets working for you. In 3 years, that's 140 plus. A lot of people see this the wrong way. One piece of content may not get you massive results, but that's the same with everything in life. Having one workout won't bring you massive results. Meditating once won't either, but collectively they generate enormous value over time. Some pieces might hit big, you know what I'm talking about, the breakthrough content, the video that goes viral, the article that gets shared non-stop. Again, the model is great because you don't need to be perfect. A lot of your content can be just okay while the big winners carry the entire portfolio. 90% of your content may get average views, but when you have 150 salespeople working simultaneously, they collectively drive consistent traffic, leads, and sales. It's why consistency beats perfection all the time. Also, stop trying to predict everything. When you try predicting things, you've already failed because you can't predict what works with other people. I've had this before, an Instagram carousel that I spent 5 or 10 minutes working on outperforms a YouTube video or newsletter that I spent days on. The only way to win is via volume, iteration, and patience. Keep posting content, keep stacking the assets, and let the rest run its course. The aim is to build a system that generates consistent results without a single piece of content needing to be perfect. Don't fall into the comparison trap. Don't belittle yourself. A creator with 3 years of experience only has a massive advantage over the person that's just starting out, not because they're better, but because they have more assets running for them. Whenever you feel lost, return back to the fact that time and consistency is your biggest competitive advantage. Digital products are pure leverage. That is a course, an ebook, a template, a membership or service that you build once and sell infinitely. It has above 90% profit margins with no marginal cost. If you browse a lot of one-person businesses, most of them have a product stack. That's different price points ranging from free content and a newsletter to a $50 ebook, a $500 course, £5,000 coaching package, to ultimately a $10,000 service. I started that product stack with free content and a newsletter because giving things away for free is a cheat code. We can see proof of this via the attention framework. The human brain uses these exact psychological triggers to filter out background noise. The first is scary. Highlight a genuine fear, risk, or painful problem. People pay attention to danger to avoid harm. The second is sexy. This could mean a highly desirable outcome. It's not always about physical attraction. It represents the prize your audience is dreaming of: freedom, wealth, etc. The third is free. Provide high quality insights or tools without asking for payment. Give away hard-earned knowledge or secrets that normally cost money to learn. The final and fourth is familiar. Build trust through repetition and relatability. The importance of consistency. People buy from people they recognize. I mentioned the attention framework because the last two, free and familiar, are the most important for one-person businesses. It's what separates the ones that succeed from the ones that don't. Content or a newsletter is the free stuff that builds trust. Low-ticket products are the cheap stuff that builds buyers. High-ticket coaching or service are the expensive stuff that builds income. Your first product, that is offer, will be mediocre, but that's fine. You publish it, receive results, and build on feedback. That's another benefit of social media. You expand via immediate feedback. That's why people are drawn to social media and content creation. It's not the money, it's the freedom. The freedom to work when you want, where you want, and on what you want. The freedom to say no to people that you don't want to work with. The freedom to build something that reflects who you really are. In the traditional path, you trade autonomy for security. This model lets you design your own life, which is rare. You can build a routine around you. This means full control. You own everything: the audience, the products, the revenue, the brand. If the platform dies or an algorithm changes, you can adapt and keep going. It's not the same in the traditional path. You're renting your income from an employer who can revoke it at any time. My personal advice is to set up your content funnel in a way where everything routes back to one newsletter a week, because a newsletter is the only one way to own your audience. Most people on social media think that their platform are their biggest asset, but it's not the case. I've heard countless stories of creators and people that I personally know who have gotten their accounts banned or have completely lost their accounts. And I'm just gonna say it now, an email list is worth more than 1 million followers on any platform. You don't own your followers, but you do own an email list. If I don't like a platform, I can easily just take my email list and start on a different platform. That's something you can't do with followers. It's also a lean business model for selling. This YouTube video that I'm making right now is useful, but it takes so much of my time. With a newsletter, you just have to write it once a week. As long as you've mastered long form writing, you will get sales. You don't have to be in front of a camera, and essentially there are no costs. And profit margins are above 90%. You can start with ConvertKit, Beehive, or Substack. Monetization includes brand sponsorships via email, selling products as we've mentioned, and making the newsletter paid. The best way to grow a newsletter is writing on X, LinkedIn, Substack, Instagram, etc. And after each piece of content, linking it back to your newsletter as a call to action. You can also do it on YouTube. This video itself came from my weekly newsletter. So if you want a written version straight to your email before the video comes out every Sunday, there's a link to that below. Most people think email marketing is boring until you hear the numbers. Creator-led newsletter The Hustle by Sam Parr, talking about startup news, was sold for over 30 million. Morning Brew, started by Austin Reef in his dorm room, was sold for 75 million. Ben Collins makes 6 figures from a newsletter talking about Google Sheets. The next section will focus on mapping out your entire first few days, step by step. Everything from picking your niche to setting up your offer to getting traffic to your offer. Just before we move on, I've got a free Creative Business Essentials starter guide that goes into much more detail than this video. If you're serious about getting help on learning and applying the basics of writing, branding, persuasion, and marketing, then click the link below. I mentioned the term business because our aim is to sell something that exists in the world rather than just in your head. Most people spend months planning all of this, but if you follow accordingly, you will have a niche, an offer, a way to get paid, and your first piece of content out in the world in 7 days. We want to do this in 7 days because the Parkinson's law holds true. Parkinson states that work expands to fill the time available for its completion. If you give yourself 6 months, you will have 6 months to complete it. If you give yourself a week, that is when it will get done. Perfectionism is the enemy. You need to ignore the urge to be perfect. Done is better than perfect. Your first content or product of anything is going to be rough. Use social media, and I mean it. The market will give you immediate feedback on how to improve. The goal isn't to have a complete product from the get-go. It's to have something functional, something real, something you can iterate on. Day one. Day one is all about niche. Your niche is the intersection of 3 things: your skills and knowledge, the market demand, and your interests and energy. What can you do well? That's what people will pay for. And what can you talk about for the next 2 to 3 years without getting bored? I want you to draw 3 overlapping circles. In the first circle, I want you to write down your personal skills and knowledge. Things you've learned through work, hobbies, obsessions, and real life experiences. In the second circle, market demand, do a research of problems people are actively trying to solve and are currently paying money to fix. In the third, interest and energy, write down 2 to 3 topics that you genuinely care about and can see yourself creating content for the next 2 to 3 years. Your niche, the sweet spot, is where all 3 overlap. List everything you can do reasonably well. Personal wins and things you had to figure out the hard way. This can include losing 50 pounds, building a side income, coding, building websites, fixing your sleep, getting out of debt, building a following online, escaping burnout. If there are other creators who have products and services serving the need, that's a good thing. Competition means there's demand in the market. You want the validation that people care. Ask yourself, can I talk about this every single week for the next 3 years? It doesn't mean you have to be a prisoner to it, right? Because interests evolve, businesses expand. Especially personal brands, intention is what matters here. Do you see yourself staying curious about it for at least a while? If topics bore you on day 1, you're guaranteed to burn out on month 6. It doesn't matter if the market is small. When you pick topics that you genuinely care about, your enthusiasm will show in the content. At the end of day 1, you should now know your niche. Write it down. All of my content revolves around business and mindset, content and marketing, and spirituality and consciousness. Slap it on every social media platform that you can think of. Day 1 is all about trying to understand yourself. What makes you different and unforgettable? What do you want to be known for? Do you have a unique perspective or talent that people are drawn to? What parts of you have you been downplaying to fit in? This is not about faking perfection. It's about finding parts of yourself worth sharing and owning them. Days 2 and 3 are all about building the offer. This is probably going to be the 2 most important days of your life if you do follow the 7-day plan. The offer is the way you make a living through the value that you provide. Don't think too hard on what you should build. Think about the transformation that your customer gets as a result of your offer. Transformation is the currency. It's why creators with 1,000 followers and a $3,000 offer out-earn YouTubers with gold plaques who don't even have an offer to begin with. If you know how to think, solve problems, and craft offers, you're not behind, you're ahead. What matters here is human clarity. The beliefs that once made sense in an industrialized world are now a liability in a digital leverage-driven economy. Nobody buys a product or service. They buy the result that the product or service promises. So get clear on the outcome. Every good product is about transformation. It's about getting someone from point A to point B. They have an unfulfilled desire and your product is the answer. Your offer is the bridge between point A and point B. The clearer you can make this bridge, the easier it will be to sell it. Remember, vague doesn't sell. The best offers solve painful problems and big desires. Things that keep people up at night. Things that they've already tried to fix or things they're actively spending money on fixing. Weight loss, making money, relationships, career advancement, etc. Areas where the pain is real and persistent. Now, how do we deliver the transformation? The easiest, most basic method are one-to-one coaching. Selling your time and expertise. This is the easiest because there are no products to build. But the downside is that you trade your time for money. The next one is digital products like a template or a mini course. This is packaging your knowledge into something that they can consume on their own. A PDF guide, video course, spreadsheet, etc. The upside is that it scales infinitely. The downside is that it takes time to do. But everything great takes time. Another way to deliver the transformation is via done-for-you services where you physically do it for them. Designing a website, video editing, managing ads, etc. But essentially the huge downside is that you are creating another job for yourself. With the first one-to-one coaching method, prices can start at $100 an hour. With digital products, the best ones are priced from $27 to $97. A service can be from $500 to $2,000 per project. I give you those insights because the worst thing to do is to not price at all. It's to not give people the chance to pay you. A useful metric is to think about the cost of not solving the problem. If someone's bad habits are costing them $10,000, paying $1,000 for a solution is a no-brainer. Frame the price against the cost of inaction. The offer needs to be clear. Everyone wants to make money online, but no one can explain in one sentence who they help, what they solve, and why their offer is better. Most people build content. Some build products. Almost nobody builds an offer. An offer is not a landing page, logo, or product. It's a promise that slices through all the noise and lands like truth in the mind of someone in pain. The goal is to have an offer that any customer would feel stupid saying no to. Here we can use Alex Hormozi's offer formula. The value of an offer is determined by 1. Desirability of outcome, 2. Likelihood of success, 3. Speed of result, and 4. Ease of process. If someone wants something bad enough and your offer makes it inevitable, fast, and frictionless, you will sell. It's the relief that their problem can be solved, but not only that, but also that someone understands them. Don't think, what can I sell? Think, what painful problem am I obsessed with solving so well that people would feel dumb not to buy from me? You don't need a big idea. You need a unique point of view. If your business needs you every day just to survive, you do not own a business. You own a very demanding job. You scale by removing yourself from the process without removing your personality from your content and products. Days 4 and 5 are all about setting up the infrastructure. This allows people to pay you. 3 important things you need to think about here. How to describe the offer, how to collect payment, how people can contact you. The storefront can be simple. A Notion page, a Google Doc, a simple landing page. You need somewhere you can send people to that explains what you do and how they can buy from you. Now, please listen to what I'm about to say. You do not need to spend 4 hours picking fonts and colors. All of that is unimportant. Just spend 30 minutes getting something functional going. Who is the product for? What problems does it solve? What do they get? How do they buy? If you don't have any testimonials, skip them for now. All of the design stuff, such as the packaging, matters way less than the offer itself. Set up the payment. Stripe is the easiest. If you're doing one-on-one coaching, have Calendly and Stripe set up. If you're doing digital products, have Kajabi, Gumroad, or Standstore. The tool doesn't matter. Having a tool matters. The fewer steps the buyer has to purchase from you, the better. The I want this to I bought this should be quick. Every extra click loses the customer, so make it stupid easy for people to buy from you. In terms of contact, place an email address or DM option. You want to be accessible in the beginning because every conversation is a learning opportunity. It's feedback on how to improve your product or service. Ultimately, customers will tell you what's missing and how it can be improved. Now, at this point, you have a niche, an offer, and a payment method. That's a real business. You've done more progress in a few days than people get done in weeks, months, or even years. The next step is traffic. The best offer means nothing if nobody knows about it. We'll talk on how to launch your offer and make your first sale. The last few days is when you go from I have a business to I'm making money. Days 6 and 7 is where it gets real. It's where you have to be vulnerable because it's all about putting yourself out there. It's about asking for money from strangers. It's hard because most people have bad money beliefs, but nothing happens until someone knows you exist. Nothing is for free. That's the price you need to pay as a business owner. So just be aware, if you have an offer, but it's sitting in an invisible place, it's worth $0. These 2 days are all about getting visible in the right places and making your first sale. The goal is not to go viral. That was my mistake 6 years ago. Or to get 1 million followers, also a big mistake of mine. It's to get your first sale. You can see on my TikTok and Instagram, I started with my interests and curiosities first, then tried turning that into a product. I made film content and then tried monetizing by making merch around it. With this 7-day plan, you actually have an offer. That's where we started in the first few days. You know what you're selling. But it's also not about the money at this point. The first sale matters so much more than the money. It's proof of concept. Validation that your offer works. It shows that buyers value your offer enough to exchange currency. Now you're saying, I have an idea, to I have customers, which changes absolutely everything. It gives you confidence. Each sale from there on is evidence that your offer works. It becomes easier to talk about it in your content, to sell it, and ultimately to believe in your idea. So the first one is hard, but after it, you have proof. When choosing a platform to produce content on, think about what makes the most sense for your ideal audience. The content format matters much less than the content actually being out there. The hook is the most important part of your content. It could be a bold claim, a surprising fact, or a relatable problem. The first 2 seconds stops them and makes people curious enough to continue reading or watching. You could share a story or transformation, explain why you care about the topic, what you've learned, or even your personal transformation. Always end with a call to action. Follow or subscribe, drop a comment, share the post, check out the link in the description, DM me, etc. In the free guide below, I outline how commitment builds over time on social media. They first see your content, like or comment on the post. And if they really like you, they follow or subscribe to your profile. Then all of the other stuff, they sign up to your newsletter or grab your free guide or resource. But all of that ultimately is commitment, which then builds momentum of guiding them to your offer. Your free content needs to have genuine value. It needs to teach something useful, share a real insight, or solve a small problem. It's a proven fact that people follow people who make them feel smarter, better, or more capable. The important thing is not to focus on your offer, but to focus on providing value. The sales will follow. Also, be yourself, as cliche as that sounds. Personality and authenticity cuts through the noise. Even if you're different. Actually, especially if you're different. Use it. Post at least 1 to 2 pieces of short form content a day. What's more important is to choose the quantity that you can sustain. As mentioned earlier, consistency beats intensity. 1 viral post is nice, but 200 solid posts over 2 years is a real business. With choosing platforms, focus on your offer. Based on your offer, where do you think your customers are? You can even go find the people who fit your ideal customer profile. They could be online, posting about their problems, following your competitors, in the comments section of certain posts, or they can even be asking questions in certain communities. You can then even send them a real genuine message. I go into so much more detail on this in the Creator Business Essentials Guide, which you can grab in the description below. But the point is, when people feel your consistent value, they naturally want to learn more about what you do. Now, how do we grow on this journey without burning out? How do we scale without losing our soul, and what makes us unique? Most people try building a life that they love via this model and creating content online. But what happens is that most people just end up creating a life that they hate. They create a worst version of the job that they were trying to escape. So find a rhythm that you can sustain for 2 to 3 years. Be honest about how much you can research and produce week to week. Some people can create content every day, working 12-hour days. Others prefer batching everything on a Tuesday and stepping away. James Clear said habits need to be easy enough that you can even do them on your worst days. Do an energy audit every few months. Do more of what energizes you and less of what doesn't. Have a clear overview of everything. Do certain things energize you, and are you actually good at it? Or do certain things drain you? Make changes accordingly. Cut the things that drain you, double down on the things that fire you up. That's how you win in the long game. Also, as you grow, there is a pressure to be someone you're not. The algorithms can reward certain types of content. Customers can have certain expectations. Money can pull you in directions you didn't plan to go. Watching yourself grow in public is the biggest benefit of the creator business. But staying true to yourself is also the biggest challenge of it. Remember, you are allowed to change. Your interests can evolve. Your business should evolve with that. Pivot because you want to, not because anything or anyone else told you to. That's all from me. Like, comment, subscribe. All of my links are down in the description below, and I'll see you on the next one.